And unfortunately, at this point, Eddie Dudley still hasn't heard from his son, but he is staying hopeful that he will. And of course, the road to recovery for Japan will be a long one. To get some perspective on that, we join Robert Jensen. He's the CEO of Kenyan International Emergency Services. That's a business that helps people impacted by crises. And Robert, thank you so much for being here with us. Tell us a little bit about what your company does.
You're welcome. What we do is we help governments, agencies, and families transition from the life that has now happened with the accident, incident, natural disaster to what's going to be their new life. It's a 12 to 18-month process. For families, it never really is a complete process. It's just learning to accept what life is going to be like after an accident or incident.
So far in this disaster, what are your impressions?
Well, it's a monumental challenge. It's, to me, three disasters. You had the earthquake, which produced its own circumstances, its own type of destruction, its own type of response that was needed, followed immediately by the tsunami, which caused more damage than I think was imaginable for a lot of people, including the Japanese government. And now we have the potential nuclear emergency that has the potential to be catastrophic, going back to Chernobyl. And I think that is going to overwhelm the existing resources and really put a strain on both the Japanese government and the people that are trying to help them.
And Robert, you went to Indonesia after the 2004 tsunami where thousands and thousands of people died. Tell me a little bit about how you guys helped out there.
Well, in the tsunami, with almost 250,000 people dead, the focus was on life-saving immediately. After that, it turned to identifying and returning the dead to the families. The tsunami a little bit different, just like the earthquake in Haiti. Each of them different. Smaller area, well, tsunami, much larger area, much larger death toll. Haiti, smaller area, but larger death toll. In the tsunami, though, you had the Boxing Day tsunami of 2004. You had people that were either killed, very tragically, or injured, but there wasn't really a lot in the middle. Unfortunately, in Japan, I think you're going to see a lot of those that are in the middle, those that weren't killed, thankfully, but have serious injuries and are now going to need rescue and life-saving.
That's right, and a lot of homes are now without water and power, and cell phone usage is just about none at this point. So are you guys going to be headed to Japan to help out?
Right now, we're not. We respond when we're asked by a government or private companies to respond. The last thing anyone needs is extra people, or what we call freelancers, to go on scene, because what has to happen is there has to be some coordination. Every person that goes in there is another person who's going to need food, water, and shelter. And as you mentioned, those are necessities that are already running short. And it's going to take quite some time to get the infrastructure back in place to get those services up and running. Probably 6 to 8 months or a year in some cases.
So you guys have helped out in emergencies around the world. At this point, you're not headed to Japan, but if they ask, you will be headed there. Thank you so much, Robert Jensen with Kenyan International. We appreciate your insight.
You're welcome.